Bucs fan, we are live. We are live and in charge. We are bringing it to you. Remember, hit the like, strip that subscribe button, sack the notification button, and you can intercept me in the comments. And now, let's go bring it. Bucs fans, how's it going? Oh man, I'll tell you what a day. Decisive victory for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 30-12, and the Buccaneers were just chilling at halftime. Didn't need to do too much, and they could have got the score and bumped that up a bit. Everything was on point. Running game was going. Everything was popping. Rachaad White, tell you what, his running looked way better on the day than it actually did in real life, because in real life, I'm just looking at it now, 39 yards and 20 carries and a touchdown. It seemed a lot better than that, right? It really did, but it is what it is. Stats do not lie. It was when he made those big jumps, and ultimately, Baker Mayfield has himself a day, and he goes 26 for 35 at 283 yards and 2 tutties. And this defense just kept on digging and digging. When they said, Devin who? And Devin White, I'm here. I'm him. And he did. And in his respect, glass to you, because I ain't going to talk shit when someone plays good. But I will say this. Where was this Devin White week 7? Where was this Devin White when we saw what we were seeing throughout the week? I've not seen it. It's the first time I've seen Devin White be this damaging, except for in Saints games. I'm just pleased that we are putting it up. Trevor Lawrence goes a lofty 211 yards, gets himself 2 INTs, and we know he dropped the ball a few times on the deck, a time on the deck too. Goes 17 for 29, and that's all he wrote. Trevor Lawrence was the leading rusher for them, and he goes 4 for 20. I tell you what, guys, the Buccaneers had this game stitched up. It was done and signed, sealed, delivered. Nice Christmas present to let everyone finish off, and I am pleased. I am loving it. It's Christmas Eve, and technically in the UK it's Christmas Day. Can't say anything. I can't cheer too much because children are in bed. So that's the life. But I tell you what, it tastes sweeter when it's a victory. How many victories straight is that now? I'm just saying, guys. Like, Buccaneers have got it. They figured it out. The 5 bowls thing. How does everyone feel about it now? Like, honestly, like I'm not here to go ha 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 or anything like that. I want to know how you feel about this. Is this team peaking at the right time? Absolutely, we're peaking at the right time. This is when you're supposed to play your best football. The Buccaneers are playing their best football in December. The last 2 games have been incredibly dominant. So I'm immensely pleased with the performance that this Tampa Bay Buccaneers has put out in the last 2 weeks in general. The others was scrape wins. These 2 were dominant, dogged up. We are the man. Lock us up for Christmas. And it all comes down to a hat and a t-shirt game against the New Orleans Saints, our beloved and hated rivals. We love to hate them. We go against the New Orleans Saints, see if we can win that division crown and wear those hats and wear those t-shirts in their face on New Year's Eve and chime in a new. I tell you what, the bubbly will be popping. The bubbly will be popping. The Dom will be popping if in that locker room if they can wrap up the division on that week. I'm absolutely telling you. But let's have a little look about the stats in the world of the game and what kind of really went down for this Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to go into the player stats, and Baker Mayfield, we've spoken about him, completes 26 of 35, and he goes 2-8-3. Felt a little bit more than that to me. And Rachaad White goes 20 carries for 39 yards. Personally, I felt like he rushed a little bit better than that. I was shocked that when I saw it was 39 yards. I thought he'd be at least in the 70s, but it is what it is. And he's a 1.9 carry with a touchdown to boot. You got Chase Edmonds. He goes 10 carries for 25 yards, and he's 2.5. So the run game really wasn't that great at all. But it felt like it was consistent enough when it needed to be consistent. I think it really kind of fell off in the second half. They decided they were going to sell out for the run, and it worked in their favor. Chris Godwin gets himself 6 receptions for 78 yards. Mike Evans goes for 7 receptions and 86 yards and has himself 2 touchdowns. Now, we don't know what's going to happen in that Raiders game, but let's put it this way. Mike Evans is currently the leading NFL touchdown artist in your NFL. And people keep telling me that he's not a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry, how does someone who's the leading touchdown dude not be with the 1K yards every season that he's existed in this league? Isn't like Mike Evans eclipses the 100 touchdown mark, and he has the 10K, the 10 1Ks. You've got to put him in straight off the bat. Like, he's 13th in NFL history in receiving touchdowns. It's disgusting how good he is. We love it. We hope he stays here. Be like Mike, re-sign Mike. That's all I can say. I got a bit of the Bacardi on the go. Triple shot and a bit of ginger ale. Dark and stormy. Get that shit on. This is the good stuff. Get into it. So Chris Godwin, I'd like to have seen Chris Godwin get a touchdown. I just wanted a bit more out of him. Trey Palmer goes 4 to 42. Rashad White, total yardage, he's roughly about 80 yards. 70, 76, 77 yards or something. Peyton Durham had a great day. Narrowly missed out on the touchdown. Cade Otton wasn't as great, but decisive catch. Dave Moore I didn't see his catch. I do apologize. And let's talk about the defense, which is balling at the right time. Now, there's some stress about this defense. We'll talk about that. Lethal dosage 54, LD 54, Levante David. 8 single tackles. He didn't assist nothing. Everything he did was solo. Go solo, got it done. 1 sack. Christian Izzian comes in and he gets himself 4 to 2, so he's got 4 tackles and 2 assists. Yaya Diaby 4 and 1, 1.5 sacks. Yaya Diaby is looking right now as advertised. Now that is a steal of a pick right now, I would say. Jamal Dean is 4-0. Now, Antoine Winfield, who was literally everywhere on the field, fumble recovery, interception, sack, only have 3 tackles. It felt like a lot more. And Devin White goes 2 for 2. Again, a lot of these guys, their presence was felt that much. You wouldn't have thought that Zion McCullum and Devin White had the same amount of tackles with the game that we just watched, in my opinion. Just the way he imposed himself. D. Delaney goes 2 for 1. I don't even remember D. Delaney in the game that much. Colton Davis goes 2. And now this is the thing. Both Colton Davis and Antoine Winfield Jr. are apparently in concussion protocol. Now, maybe we don't do the stupid thing and get those Miami doctors and clear them like the Jags did. Just saying. And then Kayvon Berry goes for 2. Shaquille Barrett goes for 2. Shaq Barrett goes for 2. KJ Britt goes for 1. So KJ Britt was kind of like a non-factor in this game. We didn't hear nothing about him. Very quiet. Didn't do a lot. I tell you what, the Buccaneers have got to be pleased. Devin Tompkins always looks like he's eager to take it on. It always looks like he's ready to go. I love me some Devin Tompkins, and I'd like to see a little bit more of him in the passing game too, because when he gets screens, he's very, very good. Just because that's kind of like think of the screen kind of like a kick return in a sense. Your blockers up front, and you're gonna go. Chase McLaughlin. Tell you what, Chase. Buccaneers, for as long as I can remember, for a very long time, were so, what's the best way, pauper in the place kicker position that we'd say things like, we're just a kicker away, because we'd be like, there'd be games we'd lose because we'd missed a kick, right? Or we didn't kick kicks. And we can't have that excuse no more, because since 2020, we've had the kickers. This Buccaneers team is two different kickers, and Santos as well, I guess. That's not, it's Santos and McLaughlin, isn't it? Yeah. So two different kickers, and consistency's been bringing through. Jake Kamada at punter has just been revolutionary for us. But guys, let's have a look at this Jags team and see what they really did to us, right? And let's face it, a lot of their yards would have been garbage. Now, I always say garbage yards don't exist because players want them and defensive players want to stop them. But you scheme to garbage time. So you're not exactly putting aggressive schemes in. You're playing vanilla. You're playing simple. Just keep the ball in front of us, keep the ball in front of us, keep the ball in front of us. So people are going to gain yards. All right, so Trevor Lawrence gets his 211, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs, and he dropped the ball on the deck a couple of times too. So CJ Beathard, he goes 11 and 15, better. 94 yards and got himself a touchdown. Pardon me, couldn't convert the conversions, the 2-pointers. Nope. Bucs wrap that shit up. Trevor Lawrence is their leading rusher with 29 yards. Travis Etienne Jr. 6 carries for 12 yards. I mean, technically his average is better, but it didn't look it. Like, honestly, if someone turned around to me and said, here's the crazy thing. If someone turned around to me and said, Travis Etienne averaged a better running average than Rachaad White, I'd have laughed in your face. I'm not going to lie, I'd have laughed in your face. But technically he did by 0.1 of a yard. That's probably because they didn't fucking rush him. Yeah. CJ Beathard gets himself 6 yards. Dearness Johnson gets himself 2. And then Calvin Ridley, he is minus 12. Receiving, Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram, I've been someone I've always been a fan of. I really like the cut of his jib. He's like a poor man's Travis Kelce. Not as big-bodied, just really thick-bodied receiver. Just really, really good at what he does. Big fan of him. And yeah, he gets himself 10 for 95. I don't know what his yardage on the season is, and I don't particularly care. That's nothing against Jacksonville. I'm just here to talk about the Buccaneers. Calvin Ridley goes for 6 for 90. Gets himself 2 touchdowns, so he has a good day. Wide receiver 2 had a good day. I think he's a poor man's wide receiver 1. I think he could be a 1. But right now on a lot of teams, he would be a wide receiver 2. But he is good. I do like him. Elijah Cooks, that kid that they mentioned, he had like 3 consecutive catches, back-to-back, like 3rd down, something like that. And caught him and did a little summit. And then we never heard about him ever again. Tim Jones got 3. Travis Etienne got 19 yards out of 3. Parker Washington got 2 for 19. And then Jamal Agnew. Yeah. I mean, guys, at the end of the day, your Buccaneers defense kind of dominated this team. On the sack-wise, Trayvon Walker gets himself 1. Roy Robertson Harris gets himself 1. That's it. So the Buccaneers give up 2 sacks. It did feel like we gave a little bit more pass penetration than we wanted to. But I take the sacks as they are. I think when you get to a point, something I would want to drill with Baker is, and it's hard to do this because like we all like think, when a clock goes off in your head, no one's sitting there going 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. It doesn't work like that, right? There's got to come a point where if you've adjusted once and it's not on instantly, just go. That's what I would say. I'd be like, you're in your pocket, you bang, right? You stepped up in the pocket. It's still not open. Just run. Take what you can get. Take what you got, slide down. I wish he'd slide a little bit more. He does worry me running into contact. I love the attitude, though. Love the fucking attitude. This guy's got nuts. He dropped his nuts. He showed his nuts. And that's what we got. And then we just look at, I mean, they had a few injuries themselves. But honestly, guys, like, I took it honestly here, and I'm just really pleased. Got a few comments here, so we'll go through those right now, mostly by Jeff Olson, or both by Jeff Olson. JT Olson, the man with the plan. Check his stuff out on Bucs Report. He's always writing the good stuff, and he also has the Creamsicle Chronicles, which is one of him and his partners, and I say his partner as in his working partner, not his actual partner. They have a little podcast that they do called the Creamsicle Chronicles, where they break shit down. It's good stuff, so go check them out. And JT is just like won an award for being a really, really good writer, and he is shit hot when it comes to breaking down offensive line play. Back-to-back dominant wins, Bucs clicking down the stretch. Jags had negative rushing yards in the first half, defense overwhelming. Yeah, and then they're going to play that vanilla defense because why not? Like, I get what a lot of people probably want. They want them to be super aggressive, but super aggressive sometimes can get you beat up. Play vanilla, give them what they need, keep them into the belief that they can win. Never surrender in the win. We talked last week about how the Buccaneers played. A lot of people felt like the Buccaneers played a complete game. This was a complete game. The fact that you can literally score only 10 points in the second half and you've won the game. And in all fairness, the other team only scored 12. So they scored their points in the first half. When you dominate the first half, it's a lot easier to win. The percentage of winning shoots up massively. But this team did what it needed to do. Mike Evans just looks elite. And there's a lot of signs going out there right now about re-signing Mike Evans and that we did the wrong thing. I was one of those guys who wanted to see Mike signed, I'll be honest. But at the end of the day, Buccaneers didn't have a heck of a lot of money. We dealt with the situation. But I tell you what, if you're Baker Mayfield and you are Mike Evans, that's a duo you want to keep because right now they're money. I mean, what, they have 13 touchdowns? Let's go. Let's have a little snoop at Mike Evans for this season. Pardon me. We'll go Mike Evans first. So let's see what our boy Mike did. Okay, so Mike Evans, I don't think they've added all his stats. Yeah, they have not added his stats to this. So he is about 1,000, just under 1,200, and he's got 13 touchdowns. Yeah, they haven't added his 86 to it. So yeah, he's at about 1,500 and 1,600 and something. Sorry, 1,260 something. With 13 touchdowns. Now let's have a look at where that puts him in his yearly averages. So his best receiving year is in 2018, the infamous 30 for 30 season. He goes 1,500 and he gets himself 8 touchdowns. So he's broken the touchdown. Now, if he gains two more touchdowns, he breaks his all-time high, which was in 2021. And basically, he just needs to gain about just under 225 yards and in the next 2 games, and he breaks that too. So why would Tom? And here's the thing: I've been telling people about this is keeping Mike Evans helps keep Baker Mayfield. Keeping Baker Mayfield helps keeping Mike Evans. It's like a yin and yang story right now because this Buccaneer offense is thriving with these two really bossing it, right? We thought it'd probably be Chris Godwin because Chris Godwin's the intermediate guy, but it's Mike Evans. Mike Evans is that dude, and he's always been that dude. And there's a level of trust between these two Texan boys that they can just go and get the job done. So the way I look at it is, you want to bring those two in the same room together and go, we want to bring you boys back. And they'll be like, do you think Mike Evans wants to leave to go to another team when he's just had this chemistry? Let's say Mike Evans does get another, let's say he gets 230 yards in the next 2 games, right? We go to the playoffs. And I don't want to forecast what we're going to do in the playoffs, but let's say he gets that He also gains the yardage, and we win the division. So 3 division crowns, and he gets 3 touchdowns. So he's on 16 touchdowns, which is more than he's ever got. Fuck it, I'll go for 15 touchdowns. Most touchdowns he's ever had in a single season, most yardage he's ever had. Do you think he's going to walk away from that, knowing that this was an offensive coordinator who was figuring shit out as he lived? This guy's never played cool before since high school, and now this offense is coming into its own. There's no reason that he's going to go, you know what, I'm just going to go to Buffalo, or I'm going to go here, or I'm going to go there. He's got to find somewhere that is wide receiver needy, that needs number 1, legit. That's willing to spend that kind of money. There aren't a lot of those teams that exist. Most of those teams have the quarterback and the wide receiver 1 locked up. Or maybe not locked up, but on the team, right? So that situation is not going to happen. I don't think that situation happens. And why not stay with the team that adores the shit out of you? Because we as Bucs fans love Mike Evans. And I'm pretty sure the front office does too. There's so much more that goes into this than we think. We think it's cut dry and simple. And it should be, but it's not. It's just not. But Mike Evans definitely should be extended. And you extend Mike Evans, I think you honestly could get, well, I say get Baker on the cheap. I'd tag Baker. I'll be honest. Because I need to see another year. I've seen the Geno Smith shit. I've seen the Geno show. And they're playing good football. But it's not, Geno ain't winning them loads of games. It's not the Geno show anymore. You compare Geno stats with Baker's, it's not even close. Like, Baker's having a better season. So what do you do here? Like, I don't want to be that team that gambles because of 1 year. I want to be that team that takes less of a gamble based on 2 good years. You know what I'm saying? Give this guy another year in the scheme. Tag him. You're going to pay big money up front to begin with. But I'm telling you, just look at it from my perspective here, right, guys? First, you need to know who wants to leave, right? You got to figure that out. Like, you're going to sit down with like the 3 biggest free agents on this team right now. Wirfs is in the conversation, but the fact that he's got another year left on his contract because of the 5th-year option, I'm not as stressed, right? Because you could tag him next year. If you really, really wanted to, you can just tag him next year. But let's look at what's here and now. Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, and Antoine Winfield, right? Who's the riskiest of those players? It ain't Antoine Winfield, and it ain't Mike Evans, because they've been consistently good. And if anything, Mike Evans has been consistent, and he's had his best. He could end up having his best year with the Buccaneers right now in year 10. Whereas Antoine Winfield has got year on year on year on year better. I think this is the best year he's already ever had. Like, he's just amazing. It's shocking that guy is. I saw the Pro Bowl fan vote. He's not even at the time when I looked. This was about 2 weeks ago. He wasn't even in the top 10 in Pro Bowl fan vote. This guy is like first and second in every category for a safety or a defense, for a safety. That's sacks, that's interceptions, that's pass breakups, that's tackles for a loss, blah 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 blah. He's in the 1 or 2 section. Like, he should be a top 5. He should be top fucking 3. I don't give a shit. So paying those guys, I don't have a problem with on long-term contracts, because you've seen the progression, right? Of course, everyone can fall off a cliff, but it's easier to fall off a cliff on 1 year than it is to have 3 years of dominance where you've got either better or you've been consistent. And those two have either got better or they've been consistent. So that's why I would sign those guys to long deals, 4-year deals, 5-year deals, whatever you want to do. But Baker, I'm tagging him because I've seen it. I called it, but this season before it happened, and I'm seeing it come into fruition. I said at the beginning of this season that Daniel Jones is a fraud and tagging the running back in Saquon Barkley was a mistake, and it should have been the other way around. You should have signed Saquon Barkley to a long deal, and you should have tagged the fucking quarterback who can barely score more touchdowns than he's played games. Like, what dumb football IQ people have they got in that building? You got a choice of two people. One guy is going to cost you 17 million if you overpay in Saquon Barkley. But no. You're going to overpay 35 million a year for a quarterback that's not even in a category of elite. Not even in the top 10, not even in the top 15, in my opinion. I wouldn't even put him in the top 20. He was efficient in certain areas of the game. He wasn't a consistent playmaker. He didn't have the behemoth yards. He didn't have big touchdown yardage. He had barely had more touchdowns than games. Like, no. I'd overplayed the running back. Why? Because it's 17 million a year, not 35 plus. It's that simple. I've seen it with Geno Smith. Now, Geno Smith's a bit different because it wasn't like there was another player, but I would have tagged him. Give me another year of this dominance, and I'll sign you. Because, guys, that 4-year contract that they're going to sign, 40 million on 40 million on 40 million on 40 million. It's a shit ton of money. 160 million if it's 40 million a year, for the sake of argument, right? It's 35 million. It's less, obviously. But my point being is, GMs of the world. I'm no expert, but I can do simple math. Tag the most expensive player on your team if you're unsure. Seriously. Sign the cheaper players longer term. Just saying. It's pretty simple. Because if Geno Smith has the shit season that he's had this year, or Geno Smith has, now you can go into next season going, you know what? Nah, I'm done. Or you turn around and go, yeah, but Geno or Dan Jones, you didn't have the same as the last season, so we're going to only offer you this much. And he's got to think about it. You get it cheap. You're welcome, NFL GMs. So, Buccaneers, Saints, the game. This is the big one. Aftermath will cover this like a motherfucker. We have got that shit down. Buccaneers, can you just imagine the pandemonium? And I'm going to do this because last year may have been a losing season, but got a division crown, and it could be the third one. And I don't believe, and I don't know this is a fact or anything. I'd have to go look. I'll do it while we chat and hopefully sneak it in. But I do not believe that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't believe that anybody in the NFC South has won the NFC South 3 times in a row. I don't think they have. I don't think it's ever happened. Going to go through a couple of these because there's a couple of people. Oh, Jeff Olsen's got another one. Most receiving touchdowns in the NFL. Hey, Mike, I love it. Let's get it done. Game was over at halftime. Bucs looking dangerous. Didn't have a single game like this last year. Exactly. Now we knew what you meant. Drizzt. I'm going Dritz. I completely agree. The Buccaneers had 2 statement games, 3 statement games. You want to include the Saints. Saints, they bossed, right? Green Bay, they bossed. This game, they bossed. And this was their first win against a team with a winning record. That was needed. That was something that Buccaneers players, coaches, everyone in front office said, they go, we can beat good teams. And I'm sure there's some out there going, the Jacksonville Jaguars are a good team. They were a winning football team. It doesn't matter how you look at it. They're a winning football team in a division where a lot of their divisional rivals are 8-7. That's where they're at. They're still the AFC South leaders, and we kicked their ass. Let that sink in. We kicked the AFC South leaders' ass. And people can go, the AFC South isn't that fine. But it's a start of something big. You gotta remember, this team was cap deficited. We're signing half our players realistically are not big name players. Our biggest free agent signing was Baker Mayfield, and I'm not talking even on money alone. $6 million was our biggest free agent signing. $6 million. There are teams spunking 10 times more money than that. I say 10 times more. Per year, there's probably teams spending about three or four times more than $6 million. So imagine building your roster, one arm tied behind your back. You're a defensive mastermind, and the only person, I don't know this. I defer because a lot of people say this to me. The only person that was interested was Dave Canales. I don't know if that's technically the case because I wasn't there. I didn't conduct interviews, and I don't know. If that is the case, you've done fucking wonders. And if it's not the case, you picked the right guy because it's coming to a fruition. I am excited to see what's going to happen next because this team is just doing what it needs to do at the right times. At the beginning of the season, I believe we had a little bit of nobody knew what Dave Canales was going to do. And we kind of got away with some shit. And defense kind of locked us in, right? As the year gone by, we became a little more predictable. People kind of figured out our scheme. And I think Dave Canales kind of figured himself out later on. All of a sudden, we saw this in 2019. Buccaneers fans, remember 2019? We had Mike Smith for years and years and years. And the only way we win games is by a shootout. Because Mike Smith's defense was fucking stopping shit. Wasn't stopping shit. And then Todd Bowles comes along as defensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And about mid-season of 2019, this defense just goes boom, click, 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 got it. Right? And I remember when we were going into the 2020 season, which we win and we win the Super Bowl with because of that defense. Don't let that escape you. Because of that defense, I remember the build-up of that season, it was like, but in the last 6 games, this Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense with this, number one in scoring defense, number one in this, number one in that, number one, like top something of this, right? I won't say number one. The top 5 in rushing yards, top 5 in sacking the quarterback, top 5. And yeah, it's a small sample size, but it's the shape of things to come because that scheme is starting to click and that scheme is starting to come to fruition. And I'm starting to feel this with Dave Canales right now. I hope I'm right. Definitely hope I'm right because I want Dave Canales to succeed because it means we don't have to go looking for an offensive coordinator. Right? So that's what I'm about. I want Dave Canales to succeed. And it looks like it's starting to come to fruition. 2 games in a row, this Buccaneers team has put 30 points up or more. I'm happy with that. Against a winning football team. Not because their quarterback was out. All I can say is that's good shit. Straight up. So, most titles for the NFC South is the New Orleans Saints. Buccaneers have 5. Let's just have a little look at this. So, Carolina Panthers have won it 3 times. 2013, 14, and 15. New Orleans have won it 4 times. 17, 18, 19, 20. So we've got a ways to go. But this adds to our dominance. We've got another division banner to hang. And that shit will bring the free agents. Free agents will sign for less when they believe in your team. We know this. So with Tom Brady, I'm not saying Baker Mayfield's Tom Brady. When you see the proof in the pudding, you can turn around and go, we are a safety away. We are a pass rusher away, and we think you're that guy. And he's like, well, I know I'm fucking an elite dude, so I'll sign. Maybe I'll sign for a bit less. Gotta remember, the beauty of being in Florida, no income tax. I'd sell that as my team. I was like, okay, you go Buffalo. Great. How much are they signing you for? Oh, they're going to sign me for 10 million a year. How much are you giving that to the taxpayer? If it's 10%, you're giving 2 mil. Sorry, if it's 10% on a 10 mil, you're giving a mil. You're giving up nothing to come to Tampa. And we're Tampa Bay. That's simple. Guys, thank you for the comments. I'm going to go through a couple of these. As I need the one. Locked on the Capitals. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, Aftermath will not be on Christmas Day. I'm sorry, but we had a thought about it. We talked about it. We all want to be with our families. We all want to drink some beer. We all want to drink some alcohol. I'm more than happy to come on. I don't know if any of you want to really hear me, to be honest. I'll be like, fuck the Saints. Fuck the Saints. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, Aftermath will be on the Tuesday, 26th. In England, we call that Boxing Day. And I actually know the significance of why it's called Boxing Day. Leave it with me. I will find out. But I will say this. We're going to break that shit down. And I tell you what, there's going to be some smiles in that room because AJ is usually a negative dude. And I didn't see one negative comment from AJ other than my team fucking rules. So, ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. And go Bucs.